Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, we want to welcome you to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today with us, we have Angel Rebo. He is a CEO consultant, TV host, international public speaker, and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation. He's going to be bringing for us today Mary Santana. Mary is a marketing public relations practitioner and media message development professional. She is also an advisor and mentor to destinations seeking to reach new heights of media exposure. Before going with them, we want to remind you Mindalia is a non-profit organization. Our only mission is to share information that can help raise help raise the level of consciousness around the world, and you can help us. How? By subscribing to our channel, liking this video, leaving us a positive comment down below, or sharing this with someone that you know that can benefit from the content that we're going to be sharing today. Also, we want to remind you that while we are live streaming, as we are right now, we have the active chat. It's a great tool on the right of the screen for you to be able to interact with Mary and with Angel. You can enter your questions there. We just ask you to please remember the format, the word question in caps, the actual question that you have. And at the end of the conference, Mary will be kind and answer those questions. Also, last but not least, Mindalia TV is broadcasting in Spanish, Portuguese, and English, as you already know. So if you know the languages, you are more than welcome to visit us in our different platforms. And if you want to share valuable information, you can also go to the link on the top of the screen where it says collaborate with Mindalia. There you're going to find a form that you can fill out, and our technical team will be reaching out to you. And it could be just you, the way Mary is here with us today, sharing valuable information through Mindalia TV. Without further delay, I am going to be leaving you with Angel and Mary. Guys, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Mirna, and thank you, Mari, for being with us tonight.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much for the privilege.
Yeah, thank you. Every time I hear a summarized, form of what Mari has accomplished in her life, it's really outstanding. And I'm super excited because tonight we're going to talk about bravery. And I'm not sure that if people are necessarily or do necessarily have the skills to be brave. How do you think we could help people to be brave?
Well, being brave is being able to stand in your own power, being able to think and express your greatness, being able to say, this is who I am, this is what my big why for existing, and this is what I have to contribute to the world. So when you stand in your power and you're able to express your greatness, to me, that's bravery. What I do is I normally just help people get to the point where that bravery is not lost because they're talking to people of authority, or because they're going through a job interview, or because they need to stand in front of an audience and speak. Because that kind of bravery is something that it's an energy that you have to keep, and it has to stay alive and bright for a while. So depending on what you need to communicate, your bravery should be something that you should be able to turn on and just be the best that you can be. I mean, it takes a brave person to stand in front of an audience. Yeah, I don't know if you know, but there are two things that people are really afraid to do in the world, and they think are the most terrifying experiences, and that is flying a plane, and guess what else? Speaking in front of an audience. So if those fears can be managed, if you can manage your nerves, if you can manage your breathing apparatus, everything is a synchronicity of things that need to work in harmony and be able to deliver a message. Whether it be, some people get extremely nervous just to stand in front of a class and answer a question. Some people get really nervous in talking to their girlfriend's parents. I mean, I don't know about you, but were you nervous to speak to your wife's parents? Whatever you met them for the first time. It happens. It happens when we feel we're going to be judged, or when we feel that we're not adequate enough, or when we feel like, my life depends on this. So if I, mess up, I'm not going to get it. So depending on how much pressure we put on ourselves, that is how much bravery we need. The more pressure you put on yourself, the more brave you need to become.
Exactly, that's a great point. So, do we have to really put a lot of pressure on us to necessarily to be
No,
brave?
I think that to be great, you just it's a question of practice, but you don't get great. In order to be great, you need to start, because you cannot get to be great if you never start. So when you start developing your greatness, meaning that you become aware of who you are, what you have to offer, and why people want what you have to offer, then that becomes sort of like your core messaging. Then you become aware of that message and the impact that it would have on the people that you're going to be talking to, your target audience, or your boss, or your coworkers, or the people of authority in your neighborhood, or even going through an immigration interview can get people paralyzed with fear. So once you find out who you are, what your power is, and what you're bringing to the table, then that kind of makes things easy. If you strategize your message, for example, what do I need to say first? What do I need to say second? What's my third message? You give it a prioritization order, and you learn it in that way. Not because you're going to practice in front of a mirror, but because you're going to be practicing. I'll be calling you and talking to you on the phone, Angel, and telling you, my 3 points. Always keep things to 3 points. I converse with you. I talk to you. I'll talk to my neighbor. I'll talk to my cousin, my husband, whoever I have in front of me, to be able to express, this messaging, and be able to be comfortable with, become familiarized with that message. That is all part of building that bravery. And then finally, you have to be comfortable with your image. What is it that you're putting out? Are you actually living up to the image that is required for that particular job or for that particular situation? A lot of us have weight issues, or we have issues that we think that we're not adequate because we're not pretty enough, or we don't. There's no such thing as an ugly woman, by the way, or an ugly man. There's a question of not having the right makeup or the right hair, or getting maybe just somebody to guide you, a beauty coach, or maybe personality coach, a charming coach. That nowadays there's so many things that you can just log onto a computer and look up, how can I be more charming, or how can I do my eyes and be a makeup that's suitable for this job? How can I learn how to express gratitude? When I come across someone who is of an authority figure, for example. Usually, when I meet with people in great authorities, I would say presidentials or congressionals, I always thank them for the opportunity of allowing me to speak up on behalf of my team, my group or my community. And so that eases my tension itself, because even I get tense if I don't have my message prepared. Have you ever had a situation where you felt that you just weren't ready, and you were like, okay, I'm going to wing it, and you did good, even though you just said, I'm going to wing it?
I like personally to jump without safety net, to be honest. But yes, absolutely. There's been situations in which I wasn't prepared for what was coming, and I was maybe not terrified, but definitely I was like nervous. I felt like my muscles were tense, definitely. And exactly to that point, I've just heard two different things that I think that might help a lot of people on our audience, that might think, well, do I really have that power? Do I really have that power? And you mentioned two things that in the beginning, you mentioned about breathing and you mentioned about gratitude. Those things, I think that everybody knows, right? Everybody has them, and everybody can kind of master and try to them. What do you think if we start like step by step, taking someone that feels powerless now to show them?
So we start with the mind, because we have to condition our mind. And what I always say to myself is, I am a masterpiece because I am from the master. I was created by a master. My God is a master, and what He has created is something worth seeing, worth experiencing. So that sets my mind up on, okay, so I'm good, and I must be great because a great entity made me, or I'm here because of an amazing creation, right? So your mindset is very important, that you feel that you come from you know, the heavens, or some place where you're worthwhile, where who you are is a gift to the world. So once you get into that mindset, then you start working with the energy that brought you here. And you do that through breathing. I take at least 10 deep breaths, and I take into account the fact that this is my vocal instrument. And so if I'm going to speak, I need to be able to fuel that instrument, sort of give it power. And so the breath, the deep breath, which is not with your chest, but just with your abdomen. You fill your abdomen. Your lower abdomen seems to be expanding, and that's pretty much just the bottom part of your lungs. You take these deep breaths, nice and easy, as if you were going to go on a meditation. And as you breathe, you start thinking, what do I need to say here so that I can express that which is going to take me to the next level, so that I can express the experience and the knowledge that I have acquired, that I can bring into this situation, so that it can be, you know, it can help people. It can have an impact on the goals and aspirations of this group, or this organization, or the needs of this particular person in front of me. And then after I do that, think about my emotional state, then my vocal instrument, and then my messaging. How am I going to tell that story? And then I start thinking, okay, so if I were in a fire, with a bonfire, in maybe my little town in Boca Chica on the beach, and I had maybe 10 chairs around me, how would I talk to those people? What kind of stories would I tell them? So I would start with my own story, and I would give them the key messages, meaning the things that are important for me, for to expose to that person in front of me, so that that person can get to know the real me. And I always say, never tell a story without a point, and never make a point without a story. So that every point that you're going to make, if you pick just 3 points and you say, okay, I'm going to let everybody know that I am well prepared for this position. Like say it's an interview. I'm going to let them know the experiences that I have, under my belt in terms of being able to fulfill this particular position. And I'm going to tell them the importance of having somebody like me, because I am passionate, or I can give it my all. Or I'm going to say something like, how can I be of service, and try to be uh, in an empathizing position where I can not just tell people who I am, but also have an interactive kind of conversation where they're interested in knowing even more. So these three things I take into account. And then of course I start to just trying to be as relaxed as I can, because when you're in front of someone that you don't know, or when you come in front of an audience, or when you come in a situation where somebody is interviewing you because they want to size you and see if you are the right person. If there's no chemistry, if you're too rehearsed, or if you're just sort of speaking from a script, you're not going to come across as genuine. And authenticity is the name of the game here. When you're sure of who you are, and when your mind is at peace, and when your instrument is at its best level, just ready for performance, people can see how genuine you are. And the more you put into it, the more you rehearse it with real people, the easier it becomes. And so to me, taking into account those things are of utmost importance, because speaking your greatness takes, it takes getting out of your shell. It takes getting out of that shyness. I know that in my culture, for example, if you boast about who you are, people tend to go, oh my God, que chona, o catre viejo, se cree que, she thinks she's big. In our Latin world, people give us all kinds of pejorative names because we try to be ostentatious. But in reality, if you're not showing the world who you are in your best greatness, spirit of greatness, then people may tend to think that you don't have what it takes. And so think about it. Think about something that you've been wanting to say to somebody, and think of 3 little points that you can put together on paper, and then start talking those 3 little points. And the more you become familiarized with them, the more you can expand, and the more examples you can give of how you can definitely, either make a point, or, trigger a reaction or create engagement with the person in front of you, um, the easier it will become. But it takes practice.
Why do you think that someone's story of, someone that nobody knows, that person's story can make other people be inspired? What's the thing? What's the trick there?
People want to connect. So when people know your story, and it's a story that makes them, triggers a feeling, it triggers um, a connection with what they lived or what they have been through, and they see that you are like them. So st- when companies start telling their stories, it's you tend to remember easier when somebody's telling you a story. Like, for example, I'll give you the Earl of Sandwich. It was a store in downtown Disney that it was a sandwich store. But the reason why it became so famous is because they started talking about the Earl of Sandwich was actually, royalty that came here in the 1800s, and he liked to eat meat as he was playing cards. So he created. This is the guy who actually created the sandwich. So this guy who used to put a piece of meat in between two pieces of bread so that his hands would get dirty while he was playing cards became the inventor of a sandwich. So imagine if a company took on a sandwich product and named it the Earl of Sandwich. What are you going to remember? You're going to remember the story that these are the people who actually invented the sandwich. So think about your particular story. What is it about it that can connect with people's minds? They'll remember you, and if they remember you, they sort of take a liking to you, and they start feeling for you. It's almost like they become part of the family. You create a connection, an emotional connection, and people tend to buy, and they tend to patronize and just actually do business with people who they care about. And so you start building a rapport with your audience and with your future clients when they know something about you that is interesting and they can actually relate to other people. You know how many people would call their friends and go, "Hey, let's go to the place where they actually invented the sandwich. It's named after the guy who actually invented it in the 1800s, which is the Earl of Sandwich, some royalty from the United Kingdom or from England." So when you set up a storyline, people will remember not only your product, but they also remember that there's something behind that story that's interesting and that's shareable. And we all like to tell a good story, don't we?
Why do you think that so many corporations in the world, pay so much money to be inspired by someone that probably they don't know, but which are actually sharing stories? What's the power for those corporations?
Because see, when people start talking about you, you're not advertising. The value triples by 9%. When it's editorialized. When, like, you can pay for advertising, or you can pay for brand ambassadors. A brand ambassador. Let's say that I'm a brand ambassador for Mindalia. I'll just tell you this. Every person that I talk to, I was just texting to a friend who was telling me that she was feeling a little bit depressed, and I said, "Oh my God, you should go to Mindalia TV. They have all these people that are talking about amazing things that you can do with your mind to lift your spirit and to feel connected to God and all that stuff." So
Thank you.
that I become that particular ambassador. Now, you would like to hear that from a person rather than from a commercial. So now companies are beginning to realize that it's so much better to have brand ambassadors, people who can tell their 500 friends about you, than to put an ad. I mean, when I see an ad, I tune it out. But I was just telling you about my experience with Mindalia and my friend who had a little bit of depression, or my friend who, I have another friend who wanted to find out about, the past lives and things like that. I was like, you go in there, but Mindalia has everything. It's just like, how do I find it? So it's not just storytelling. I'm enticing that person to literally take action. The call to action is it worked for me, it can work for you. So I believe strongly that if you don't have brand ambassadors, your brand simply won't go anywhere. because nowadays, it's the human contact that really matters. We don't want to be bombarded with commercialization and with messaging that we're not receptive to. So we look for people who can actually connect with that.
And what are the, according to your experience, obviously, what are the most important ingredients to be a good brand ambassador?
You have to have passion. You have to have a lot of passion for that particular product. You have to believe in it. You have to think that it is actually solving a problem that you really, really needed to have solved. And once you get in that frame of mind, hey, I found a solution to my problem, you're going to tell the whole world about it. And people are going to be excited because if you're excited, you're going to excite everybody around you. That's the number one. Then you have to actually be believable. If you are recommending every product that actually passes by, your Facebook page or your social media, then people are not going to believe you. You have to be choosy, and the brands that you choose have to have some kind of brand equity, and the ability to service people in a premium level, in a premium kind of way. And by that I mean the highest the standard of quality is always top of mind. When you recommend something, you want people to say, it makes you feel good if people call you back and say, thank you. That was really great. That was a great recommendation. Whether it be a place to go vacationing or a store to buy a good dress or a business suit or whatever you want to buy. If people actually have experienced that store and have experienced that kind of level of service, and the service is of top notch, and people start talking about it, you don't even have to advertise. How many stores do you know that don't advertise, and yet they make millions of dollars, and the demand is there?
Absolutely. There's a lot of people in our audience that has or sees all the time people on social media which are brand ambassadors, right? Let's say there's a lot of them, and everyone advertises certain brands. Is it possible for someone who today is completely unknown to become a brand ambassador? Is there like a path to reach that point in which you can be so trusted, so that brand relies on you so much?
First, you really have to find a niche. Your niche has to be, I'll just give an example. When I worked at Disney, we started this whole brand ambassador connection, I'm going to call it. And they were just moms, moms that loved Disney. They knew everything about Disney. They knew where to go, how to go, what to wear, what not to wear, when to bring a sweater, when not to bring a sweater. I mean, they knew just about every corner of that park. And we selected 20 moms that became the Disney Moms panel. Why did we choose them? Because they were so passionate and they literally posted tons of stuff. So they already had a tribe, they already had a group of people that not only believed them, but also trusted their judgment and was on the lookout for whatever they put out. If they had an intention to visit, and this person, answered one of their questions or email and convinced them that, yeah, this is the way to go, most likely that person was going to book the ticket and a vacation and come to Orlando. So the whole idea is that when you become a credible source, when your tribe trusts what you have to say, and when they, uphold your opinion, as something that is pretty much sort of like, the rule of the land, like this person says that this is good and she's never told me anything that's different, and everything that she says always turns out to be all right, then I'm going to go for that person to become my ambassador. Most of the moms were chosen. We had like about 40,000 applicants for just 20 spots.
Wow!
Remember, we had to spend an entire weekend in one of the resorts just going through thousands and thousands of letters, and finally they hired a company to do that, and we ended up doing about 1,000, over the weekend. But it was it's huge competition because people want other people to come to them and ask them for advice. It feels good to be able to share with people something that has worked for you. And so, if you want to be a brand ambassador, I simply suggest that you go look for a niche. Find that niche, whether it- it's maybe you want to be a specialist in beaches. You want to go to all the beaches you can possibly go to, and you want to look for all the good and the bad and the ugly and the wonderful and the things to do and not to do at that beach. So maybe you can become the beach expert. And then before you know it, you start just telling everybody what to do, what not to do in particular destinations or beaches that you've been to. And all you really have to do is share with them your experiences, right? Once you start developing a tribe and enough people following you and looking at you as the go-to expert on beaches, for example, then companies will start seeing you. They will start, and you can actually companies sometimes just take suggestions from people. You can write directly to a company, if their public relations. Um, Sometimes it could be their public relations team, or you can just go through their marketing team and send a proposal and say, hey, look, I have been doing this particular postings, and I this is my specialty. This is what I love to do. It is my passion. I'd like to be considered as a brand ambassador. These are my followers. This is the type of engagement that I have. These are the people that are interested in what I have to say, and I'm able to reach these many people for you. I'm also able to stand in front of an audience and speak about your product. I'm also available for writing to people about things that you're doing. I'm available to come to your events and participate, do live chats, or Facebook Live, whatever you can bring to the table in terms of being able to disseminate that message and tell the world about your expertise and that particular product that you happen to like, because it fits into your niche of expertise that you are telling the world that you know so much about. Then go for it. I highly recommend that you just watch what you put out. Companies, we before engaging anybody as a brand ambassador, you bet the company is going to look into your background. They're going to look they're going to look thoroughly, because before a company gets involved with you, they want to know who you are and what you've been up to and how people perceive you. So you will be googled, and somebody will check your background, for any criminal records or anything like that, and you'll be checked out. So maybe you want to start, if you have any photographs that you think should be in your social media, you start removing them, you start cleaning up your image, and slowly for sure, surely you start creating your tribe and building it, and before you know it, you'll be ready to go in front of any corporation, and that may be looking to expand their roster of brand ambassadors.
And do you think that, excuse me, I was going to say, do you think, according to your experience, what you see in the corporate world today, that this is something that's going to grow? Companies are going to look for more and more brand ambassadors in the future?
It peaked. I believe that it peaked, in the last 2 to 3 years. It really peaked. I remember bringing in, hundreds of brand ambassadors to do, all kinds of different events and launching of products and things like that. But now they're they're being picky, and corporations are looking into people who have established brands themselves. And what they do is that they look for partnerships, strategic partnerships with other people's brands. That's why when I was referring to you cleaning up your image and all that stuff, that's all part of your branding. How how strong is your brand? Um, how in tune is it with that particular company's products or goals? And so when you align yourself with that's why I always say, don't try to cover everything. Try to stay in a niche that you're going to be seen as one of the experts in that niche. And it always helps to go to as many conventions and conferences where bloggers and brand ambassadors meet. Experts um, tend to hang out together, and they tend to share a lot of information as to what corporations are doing what. And also, it's the one place where most marketing and PR people attend, and they make appointments and they are available to talk to people. But make sure that your brand is equally as should I say, carefully structured as that company. And be very careful with your image. Be very careful with what you say, how you say it, and so that it doesn't offend that particular company, or whatever future projects they may be thinking about and involving you in it.
And speaking of bravery and passion, Mari is a person that loves to help as many people as possible.
Oh, yes.
And she's always helping people in many different ways. We've talked about helping people be on stage and share their stories. We've helped about ambassadors, brand ambassadors, but I'm sure that you've helped people do a lot of many different things. Any anecdote you would like to share with our audience today with Mindalia TV, Mari?
Well, since we're talking about the ambassadors, I remember when the first brand ambassador, Poppy Blogger, is a good friend named Manny. He came to me with an idea that he had this, this website. He's actually had a website, and that he was known as the Poppy that took his children everywhere, and he was very, very deep into, being a family man and creating special magic moments for his family. And so he came up with an idea of going, traveling throughout the country and visiting all Disney parks. And I said, oh my goodness, that's very expensive. So he says, no, I'm going to do all these posts. And he did a lot of posts that were very interesting, and showed me what kind of posting he was going to do. And Manny created an amazing, well-structured tour with his kids. And they went to Disneyland. They came to Florida. They also went to Adventures by Disney, which was something that we were doing out in the West. And they got on the Disney cruise ship. And it was a whirlwind of over a month of just traveling through the country. They went from east to west. And the stories that came out, and the engagements, and the people that were, so involved. And I admire him because he went on to create Hispanicize, which is today, one of the biggest conferences for Latino digital influencers. And he has a tribe of influencers, and now they've gone into, Dime Media and Hispanicize Media, and it's a major corporation. And I'm so proud that he had this dream, and he never lost it. And he took a lot of advice. He was never afraid of asking.
Awesome.
Or asking people, just give me your opinion. Is this right? Is this color right? Is this kind of writing the right thing? And I would just tell him, just share with people your experiences as a dad on the road, and it became a very, very successful, venture that we did together. And I was one of the first people who signed up on it. And after that, many, 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 many more came through the parks and did similar things. And it has become a norm now to have, bloggers, Poppy bloggers, and mommy bloggers come through the parks and help share that message. So when you have a dream, and when you have a purpose, and you have passion, and you put all those things together, and then you start thinking about, how am I going to deliver this, and why I should deliver it, and why I should be prepared mentally, emotionally, and with my vocal instrument to tell the story like it should be told, and involve the company or the people that are going to help you move forward and create abundance for yourself, then you got a good game going, and don't let it go. Stay with it. Perseverance is the name of the game.
Excellent. Thank you very much for so many advices for our audience. They will definitely love to hear those. Could you please, before we go to the questions, we actually a little bit late, but it's okay. It was difficult to stop you. It was extremely difficult to stop you. So where can we find you? How can we reach out to you? How can we contact Mari Santana?
So right now, you can go to my website, marisantana.com. I'm actually going to pick 5 people to to train, because I have this, the face-to-face bravery is a brand new program that I'm putting together. And so I'm going to pick 5 people that I can actually just find out what is it that they fear doing in front of an audience, or going for an interview, or speaking to people of authority. I want one in each category. And I'm going to pick you, and I'm going to, walk you through this program and send you information. And I want to send you, questionnaires, and I want to know your story so that I can work it into the program. And then you're going to tell me how valuable it was to you. And then I'm going to take it from there. Hopefully I'll be able to present it to audiences all over the country, and perhaps internationally, and maybe through Mindalia. But I want to be able to give you that gift. To find me at marisantana.com. And fill that questionnaire, because I need to know a little bit about you, so I can help you tell your stories. I can figure out, what are the pointers that we're going to put together to be like your number one message, and your secondary message, and your third message. And then I want to empower you to be able to use your vocal instrument, to be able to breathe right, and to be able to rehearse the right way, and be able to strategize your message. And at the same time, gain that bravery, and allow you to see the greatness that's within you. And then we'll work on expressing that greatness with passion, with enthusiasm. And I hope that whatever it is that you want to gain, or you want, or whatever goal you have in telling that story, or in speaking to that audience, or in connecting with that person of authority, or getting that job interview, that you're going to ace it, and you're going to be so happy that you took my course. So go there now if you can, or whatever you can. And
I think we're going to stop this. I'm going to run to your website, Maddie. Let's make sure, Mirna, that we write down properly all this information, so we can offer that to our audience. That would be amazing. So anybody can actually apply? Anybody?
Yes, it's Mari, Mari, Santana, like Carlos Santana, .com. And you go, I have a page where you just go in, and it will say, face-to-face bravery, and just sign up. And just, you got to tell me a little bit about yourself, because there is a form for that. And then I'm going to start reading that and see how I can help you, because I'd love to take somebody who is like, has never done this before, and I can just, teach you all the tricks, because seeing you on stage, or seeing you, in front of an audience, or just being able to get through something that you find difficult in terms of communicating your greatness is one of the biggest satisfactions that I can think of. I mean, I think I was born for this. We talked about this before. Empowering people to express their greatness is my passion. It has been for over 30 years. I've been able to work with some really powerful speakers, and train them to become even better speakers, and to be able to spread their message, and be able to create impactful presentations. And and it's like you said, helping people. It not only helps you grow, it really allows you to share whatever gift that God gave you with the world. There's nothing better than that.
Absolutely. I fully subscribe to that point of view, of course. Thank you. So let's go to the questions real fast. So what is the proper body language when talking to a person of authority?
You cannot be boisterous. If it depends on the situation. When you speak to someone of authority, they want to see assertiveness. If you're going to shake someone of authority's hand, I don't want this, hi, how are you, limp shake. I want you to. There's a few people on YouTube that and TED Talks that also talk about, what is a good handshake, which is a strong handshake. You don't want to be overpowering somebody either, so learn about the proper way to greet the person first. Look at the person in the eye, and depending on the culture, that is, I would definitely first look up, wherever you happen to be, look up the norms and the acceptable behavior of that particular person, or country. Person's country, because you need to find out, if it's a Muslim country, sometimes you may not be able to shake women's hands, or it's not proper to do certain things. Or maybe you are in Japan, and maybe all you need to do is bow and show respect. I think people of authority are fascinated by people who are sure of themselves, but are even more sure of the message that they bring, or are able to ask for what they want without being negative, or without being without yelling. With think about what you're going to say and how you're going to say it, and be as brief as you can. Don't try to bring forth you know all kinds of grievances from different people because you're in front of this person, so let's take advantage and tell them everything. No, people of in authority like to hear one or two points, and how can they help. These are busy people. So if you want to talk further, if you want to explain about some other situation, I suggest that you ask them, what's the best way to get in touch with you? How can I get this other grievance in front of you? Or how can we talk about this particular situation? One of the things that I highly recommend when you speak to someone of authority is that you bring in an agenda, and that you actually write down what it is and in what order you're going to be discussing whatever topics you're there for to discuss. And also be respectful. Be respectful of their time. Be respectful of the place that you're going to visit. If you're going to visit a professional office, dress professionally. If you're going to a temple, dress accordingly. Respect the environment, because people of authority are very respectful of their own environments, and you have to be too.
Thank you. This is gold dust. Thank you. Next question. We're really in a rush now, so if I may suggest you to be as short as possible in your answers. Next one. How can I show assertiveness?
You have to be sure of what it is that you want to say, and how you're going to say it, and why you're going to say it. What's your big why? What's your big reason for saying that? That should be powerful enough to make you feel assertive. And also think about what is holding you back. What makes you feel not assertive? What's taking your power away? Always think about that, and conquer that first. And once you conquer that fear of whatever is holding you back, then move forward, and be sure that you know who you are and what it is that you're bringing to the table. And that will allow you to be more assertive.
Excellent. Next question. Not an ideal situation, but if you had to choose one, what's more important, the actual message or the messenger?
Both. They're equally important. Because the messenger is the person, and the message is the actual delivery. It's the delivering of the message. I would say, think about this. If you wanted someone to pay attention to you, what would you do? Do unto others as you do unto yourself. So what would you do if you wanted somebody to pay dedicated attention to what you have to say? And what would you want to know first? So I would definitely think that both are equally as important.
Excellent. Next question. How to feel confident despite a thick accent?
Well, I had a horrible accent. I actually went to school for 8 years, and I still have an accent. Nowadays, make sure that you enunciate. And if you find that, go and see somebody, a speech therapist, or watch videos of people actually speaking. There's actually professionals, speech pathologists that actually teach you how to speak. Because when we bring a language into the English, modulations, and we're trying to speak in English, we're thinking in our language. All of the nuances of that language that we have been born into, kind of control how you pronounce English. So think about, sometimes you have to pronounce with, your the with the th, which is just takes your labial, muscles, and then sometimes it's the glottal, like throttle, and things that we don't use in our languages is very hard to use in English. So what my Sam Schwa, who was my teacher, used to tell me, that the only way I would learn to speak like a general American is if I listened constantly to how they spoke. So get your headset on and start listening to newscasters and people who are speaking general American, and start imitating them. That's what you got to do. And if
Okay.
it's not an impediment, take care of that impediment.
Fair enough. In regards to haters, can you give an advice about how not to be affected by other people's negative comments on our job?
Everybody's going to have something negative to say, but the only opinion that you should be worried about is the opinion that you have of yourself. That's it. Because
Excellent.
You cannot control anybody's opinion, and you cannot let that control you. Absolutely not.
Is there a color of clothes preferred to present a speech? Light colors, bright colors?
Depends. If you're going to be in front of a camera, don't wear white. If you're, Les Brown, our friend, believes that navy blue, white shirt, and red tie is the color of power. And you see a lot of presidents doing that when they do livers, on TV. If you're going to be on camera, I always like wearing neutral colors for television, like you see here, earth tones. But if you're going to be in front of an audience, depending on what it is, or what the occasion is, I would just try to adjust to the actual event, what the dress code is. And if you're going to be hit with lots of lights and cameras, avoid whites or bright colors, because then it's going to drown you, and people are not going to see you, or they're going to see this bunch of color. And so, the more understated, the more people will pay attention to you.
Excellent. And the last one, what is the best way to ask your boss for a raise? That's a good one.
I think that you have to make a list of all the contributions that you have done that have brought money into the company. And you have to say, this is what I did, and it brought X amount of money. This is what I did, and it brought that amount of money, or this efficiency, or we're now better because I did this, and just be assertive, but have your list and with facts and figures, and then say, and since I have done all of this, I believe that I deserve a raise because I have been able to fulfill way beyond the call of duty, by what I was told to do, or, whatever your position called for. Whenever I asked for a raise, I would just say, okay, so this year we had X amount of events, and we had X amount of money coming in, and this is the big lump of what I brought into the company. So I think I should get a raise, and that's how I get it.
Awesome. I don't doubt it. For sure you got it. So that's the end of our conversation today. As usual, it's a pleasure to have you with us, and it's a pleasure to allow you to inspire our audience on Mindalia TV, Mari. So thank you.
Thank you, Angel, and thank you, Mindalia TV. And I'm so glad that we had all these questions. And I just want to tell you one last thing. Never lose sight of being able to project to the world your greatness, your ability to connect to people, your ability to empathize with people, and above all, your ability to communicate that which is within you, and which is going to bring you to the next level of what you need to do or where you need to go. Because God gave you a voice to make noise, and if you don't scream and you don't yell and you don't let people that where you are, that you exist, nobody's going to pay attention to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you again, Mari, and we hope to have you again soon. This is your home. You know that already.
Thank you. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. We love you too. So again, this is Angel Ribo with Mindalia TV. Thank you for being with us tonight, and see you soon. Bye-bye.